Okay, so back in February, I actually sat for a MENSA examination. I got my results here, as you can see from MENSA. Boop, boop. Now, what I want to talk about first before I go into what result I got was just the divisiveness of IQ. It just perplexes me, like sportsmen that get revered if you're good at sports and everything. But if you've got a high IQ, everyone wants to sort of try and put you down, and you know, it's just ridiculous. It's like a tall poppy syndrome. So basically, I'll tell you why I did my IQ test. Is because of my mum. Basically, you can see my mum here. She was quite smart when she was a bit younger, but then she got dementia, and you can sort of see here she's not quite with it anymore. And I sort of thought, I'm getting older and I'm related, and dementia runs in, is genetic. I thought if I don't do an IQ test now, I'll never know, if I had a high IQ, and if I get dementia, I can sort of point to my test results and say, it wasn't too bad when I was younger. I wasn't always had dementia. So basically, that's why I did it. So let's have a look at what I'll do first. I'll explain what the IQ test in Australia consists of. Basically, you pay your money. I think it was around $60. I think it was, or $80. So this back in February. I purposely didn't do the video earlier because I didn't want to remember the questions and sort of leak sort of the types of questions you get. But I'll give you a general idea of how it works. You've basically got 6 sections, and first of all, I didn't find the IQ test too difficult, but the thing that makes it difficult is you're under pressure, and I'll explain why. You've got 6 sections. Each section's 50 questions, and you've only got, I think it's 12 minutes to do them, and you get a 1 minute warning when there's 1 minute to go. And but the thing is, so you start off with your test. So say this is your test here, and you've got to put it down. You read the first page, and then they time you, and you've got 50 questions and 12 minutes to do them. So you're under the pump. And you've got your another sheet that's got your multiple choice. I think there's 5 A, B, C, D, E. So if you work it out, you've basically got about 20 seconds to read the question, figure it out, work out where it is on your answer sheet, fill it in with your pencil, make sure it's filled in right. So really, you're under the pump. Like when you first start it, the questions are quite easy, and they gradually get harder as it goes along. I think it's an RAIT intelligence test. So when you start off, you've got all this confidence, like, gee, this is easy, 4 + 6 or whatever, bang, 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 and you've zipped through the first 10 questions fairly quickly, and then they start getting hard, and you start thinking a bit more about them. And then you realise you're taking too long, so you start panicking, your mind drifts, especially, after the first 4 or 5 sections, your mind starts just drifting and wandering, and it's very hard to keep going and concentrating. After I did this test, I was exhausted, mentally, physically exhausted. I just thought I'll never do this test again. What started off as I thought was quite an easy test turned out to be quite difficult. Not because the questions were that difficult. I think if I had unlimited time, I could get 100%. But you don't have unlimited time, and that's probably I've sort of been tossing up whether that's a good idea or not. Whether to have unlimited time on these sort of tests, or give an extra half an hour or so. But I guess that's part of having a high IQ. If you've got a high IQ, you can zip through the questions. They look easy compared to other people, and that's what separates you. And they got to separate. From, I think this IQ test goes from 40 to 160, so they want to have definitive steps between each IQ point. All right, so talking about IQ, I just consider it one sort of ability. Like as you can see here, this is my. If you can see that, it's my artistic ability. It's me drawing a person. It's not quite Leonardo da Vinci, is it? I've also have limited. You can see here, I've got limited musical ability. I've got my accordion here. That's about as good as it gets with my musical ability there. Never had one lesson. Anyone that's watched Ferris Bueller's Day Off will get that. Never had one lesson. Okay, so what's next here? I've just written a couple of notes. Yeah, you get a 1 minute warning. All right, so let's get stuck into the test results. I'll get back into the preview window. Get the test results here. So did I get in? And the short answer is no. You need to get into the top 2%, and as you can see here, it's highlighted here. I got an IQ of 129, which puts me in the top 3%, 97 percentile there, IQ 129. They're very matter of fact about it too. They put, let's see here, automatically resize. The subject of this email was actively. Let's have a look here. It's a very cold email actually. Yet, Australian MENSA Incorporated unsuccessful test applicant has been activated. So thank you very much. So I didn't get in. 129. I'm pretty sure, looking at the full figures, you need 130 plus to get into MENSA. So I missed out by 1 point. So this was back on the 29th of February. It was a leap year this year, of course. Right, so I did the test and got this email. And I thought, jeepers. So this gives you options here. You can reset the test in 12 months' time, or get a registered psychologist to administer a test, blah, blah, blah. Not too sure whether you can set the test in 12 months' time, because I've read somewhere once you've sat it once, you can't reset it again. So I'll look into that. I'm not too sure whether I'd want to do it again. I don't know. Now, during the test, I'll give you a sort of heads up on one of the questions. Probably shouldn't do this, but this is probably what made me fail the test. Basically, they had like on the test these shapes. Right, they had the squares and had to fill in, like, it was like a grid sort of thing in shapes. And I was looking at them, I just could not figure them out. I was thinking, are they transforming? Are they rotating? Are we adding up the shapes and subtracting? Doing some sort of mathematical matrix transform on them? Just could not figure it out. And I asked one of the people afterwards to set the test, and I said, what were those shapes? I spent so much time on it. It was like, I think it was about 5 questions. And they said, oh, that was a maze. There was an arrow up the top. And it's like, oh my God, I didn't see the arrow up the top. So basically, you'd see, I think it was, you'd work out which shapes you could get through the maze. And so I stuffed out that whole section. And that probably is what caused me not to get into MENSA. But I don't like making excuses for these sort of things. But that could be one reason. And so let's look at the results. So basically, got that first email, and I was curious because you could pay an extra $55 Australian and get like a detailed report. So I thought, oh bugger, I'll do that. Even though I didn't get in, I'll do that. So it says, thank you for your order of full IQ test report. It's been emailed to you recently. Attaches your printed MENSA IQ certificate, which is this thing here. So this gives you, I'll show you next screen what you actually get. So this was 3rd of March I got this. Okay, so this gives you a rundown on, I'll just zoom in a little bit on this. Here we go. So it says here, the RAIT is an intelligence test designed for group administration, has been standardised for use of individuals aged 10 to 75. And there was a couple of, and you could just tell they're little smart kids, and they got the little haircut there, and I thought, oh gee, these guys are little geniuses. They're going to get in, no worries. And they had their parents with them, and they've obviously been training all their life for this sort of thing. The RAIT is a power test where questions become more difficult as test progresses. The RAIT measures a number of different important areas of intelligence: general intelligence, crystallized intelligence, assessing inductive reasoning, fluid intelligence, assessing deductive reasoning, and quantitative intelligence, which assesses inductive and deductive reasoning. Don't ask me what all that means. I'm not that intelligent, remember? I sort of know what that means. Eligibility for admission to Australian MENSA requires a score in the 98th percentile or higher in one of the three indexes, fluid intelligence, which I got here. Is it gonna? I got 122 on fluid intelligence. Oops. You can see I'm not too intelligent with this, am I? 122 fluid intelligence. So that's one of them. If I got up to 130 on that, I would have got in. Total intelligence, which I got 129. And was 97.3. So I missed out by points. 0.7 percentile. So less than 1% I missed out on getting into MENSA. Or total battery intelligence. Actually worked with batteries, so it didn't really help me, did it? I still got to 129 on that one. That was my last job working with batteries. A score in the 98th percentile and higher in the crystallized intelligence or quantitative intelligence indexes is not sufficient to qualify for MENSA membership. So, I got 129 for that and 125 on the quantitative intelligence. And it says this score does not qualify Jonathan Panoff, Walrus Rider, should have put in brackets there, for membership in Australian MENSA. Missed out by 0.7%. So it's quite annoying. I don't know whether I'm going to resit the test again. It was fairly draining. I might actually even do worse. So you pay your $80 or whatever it is and actually do worse. So let's go on to the next sheet. Off we go. What's going on here? That should come to the next sheet. What are we doing? Page 3 or 4. There we go. So let's look at the fluid intelligence. I got, what do we got here? So that was one of my lowest scores. I got 122 on fluid intelligence. So let's read here. It says the scores show how well you've scored compared to the group of people your age. So that's the IQ is like it's an intelligence quotient. So it's your age is taken into account. That's why it's good to actually do it throughout your lifetime as well. Kids score a lot higher. That's why you sort of get these little child geniuses that score quite well, because it takes into account their age. You're actually above their age. I was actually above my age when I was younger as well. I skipped up a grade. Index score can range from 40 to 160. So this has got a ceiling of 160. IQs above 160 are fairly hard to test for. So you get these online IQ tests. Online, I tend to score like 160 plus, and it's just, that's why I sort of think they're a bit of a joke. You need to actually go and get a proper test done like this one. As you can see here, between 129 to 160 is quite a big gap. And I think these online IQ tests are just to try and give you a bit of a ego boost, 160. Okay, so half the people will score. Says most people achieving scores between 90 and 109. So it's really a bell curve, and you've got your standard deviation there, and you've got 50%. Where are we? Half scoring more than 100. So 100 is bang on the edge there, on the middle, and you've got 50% scoring more than 100, 50% scoring less than 100. There we go. A percentile rank is provided for each index score to show your standing relative to others the same age within the RAIT normative sample. Percentile ranks range from 1 to 99, with most scoring close to 50. So I scored 97.3. So yeah, 50 is your average IQ of 100. And it's a bell curve. As anyone that knows statistics will know what a bell curve is. All right, it would mean you scored higher than approximately 98 out of 100 of your age. So I scored 97.3 there. So 98 out of 100 will get you into MENSA. It's common for people to exhibit significant discrepancies across areas of performance. Mine was, varied a bit from 122 to 129. Furthermore, it should be noted performance may vary from day to day. Yeah, didn't really have that much sleep. You're a bit nervous and that sort of thing. Because of interest, attention, anxiety, learning opportunities, or illness, and therefore should not be regarded as fixed or stable. Well, that's probably a sales pitch to get you to resit the test. So I don't know whether I'm going to do it again. Any test of a general intelligence must measure a higher order cognitive abilities, those associated with fluid abilities such as general sequential reasoning, induction, deduction, syllogisms. Don't even know what the syllogisms is. Series tasks, matrix reasoning, analogies, and quantitative reasoning. The various RIT indexes are designed to measure these higher cognitive abilities when combined. So yeah, it was a very comprehensive test. It really, I'm telling you, it does your head in. You just need more time. And another thing, once you've done each section, you can't go back. So that's it. So really, what you do is when a minute's done, you've got this agonising choice, because you've probably, I think I got to around 39, 40, I think up to 43. The last one on words, like they had synonyms and antonyms of words. I zipped through those, and I sort of thought that my vocabulary wasn't that great, but I managed to zip through those pretty well, and did them quite quickly, because you either know it or you don't. There's no sort of thinking about it really, so you either know the meanings of the words or you don't. So I zipped through those fairly well. I actually had a couple of minutes spare there, but most of them I got around 40, around 43. I think there was usually about 3 or 4 questions I still had to go. So when you get to the minute mark, what you tend to do is just go, well, I had to spend a minute working on this, or I'll try and guess and maybe get 1 out of the last 5 correct just by probability. So that's what I tend to do. If I knew I was going to take more than a minute to finish the question I was working on, I'd just guess it. Just take a stab in the dark and just see how I go. So fluid intelligence, this is one I scored 122 at. So this explains why I scored lower. The fluid intelligence index is a non-verbal measurement depending on native ability rather than learnt knowledge. Fluid intelligence is general ability to think abstractly, reason, identify patterns. So that would have to do with this, identify patterns here. That is probably the one with the maze that I stuffed up. Probably pulled my number down a bit. Solve problems and discern relationships without any prior knowledge of the relationships. So it's a bit of a culturally fair type test. This section, as such, is the only index within the RIT that does not require. That's what I'm saying. Require English language ability and is independent of learned knowledge. Fluid intelligence tends to decline during late adulthood. So I'm heading towards 50, so it's starting to decline. That's reflected in my score of 122 there. Crystallized intelligence. Crystallized intelligence index measures an individual's application of their learned knowledge and past experiences to problem solving, etc., etc. You can all read all this. So basically, I think I've covered everything there. Quantitative, short-term working memory is acquired through the use of other abilities. All right. So basically, what I've come up with is I'm either going to reset the test or just have this one here, which I can put on the wall and say I almost got in. And now the thing with MENSA as well is, once you qualify, if you want to keep going and still remain a member of MENSA, you just pay, I think it's $88 a year membership fee. In that, all basically I do is I think they have like gatherings and lunches once a month. So you get 12 lunches for $88 basically. And then your membership can lapse, but you don't need to re-qualify. Once you've qualified for MENSA once, you don't need to re-qualify. That's it. You're good for life. So it probably is worth me doing it again. I might consider it. I'm not too sure. Leave your comments below. Has anyone else done a MENSA test and how did they find it? This is the Australian MENSA test. I'm not too sure whether they vary across the countries, how they work. But yeah, I found it difficult in the fact that you're timed, and you do not have a lot of time to work on these problems. You got 20 seconds average, so you might zip through the first 10 to 15 in maybe 10 seconds per question, and it gives you a little bit of a head start. But then you just get bogged down. You'll do a couple of questions, and I'm a little bit stubborn too, so I probably spent too much time. I didn't want to move on, and of course once you move on, what are you going to do? You're going to mark on your answer sheet where you're up to and that sort of thing. So then you sort of think, oh, shall I try and guess one? Which one looks, just use my instinct. Which one looks correct? You just don't know what to do. So there we go. This video's probably gone a bit too long now, so I'll sign off. Yeah, leave your comments below, and I'll see you next time, guys. Just don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. And I'll keep practicing my. Maybe I'll become a musician instead. What do you reckon? Oh, it's got buttons here. This works quite well. Guys, I'm signing off now. Cheers. Bye.